Question number 1. Congrats on your Leadman victory and course record. Leadman is a series of diversity requiring both speed and endurance as well as mountain biking and trail running abilities. Talk about your background as it pertains to Leadman's events. What strengths and weaknesses did you bring to the series? Well, that's a great question, and you're right. I think doing well at the Leadman does require being good both at biking and running, and also kind of a range of distances, really from 10K to 100 miles. Looking at my background, I think the first thing is I have an outlook that works well for this kind of racing. When I was growing up, my dad was doing ultra runs and adventure races, and one of his favorite sayings was, it's all good mental training. And I really think that's true. You know, to do well in the longer stuff, first you have to have a positive outlook, but also I think you have to be flexible and ready to adapt to adversity. So I think probably that was my greatest strength. Other than that, I do have a background both in running and in biking. I ran competitively in college, and in the last 3 or 4 years have raced as a pro mountain biker, in addition to doing some Xterra professional races and a number of long adventure races over the last 10 years. So those things in mind, I've been able to do a lot of long stuff. Also, as an endurance coach, I've seen what works well for athletes, and also I've seen a lot of things that don't work well. So my own experience as an endurance coach has definitely informed what I've been able to do out there. As far as weaknesses, you know, I did the North Face 50 championship last year in San Francisco in December. And I did okay. I did 6:44 on a slightly shortened course, so I was fairly happy with that time. But I really realized at that time that a glaring weakness was my downhill running, and in particular the muscular specificity to prepare the legs for a lot of downhill pounding. So that's something I've been working on really just on a weekly basis since December, and I think that paid off for me at Leadville. My legs held up fine, and I felt pretty good throughout the race. Question number 2. I think you're a pretty regular person too. You have a wife and kids who hopefully haven't disowned you this summer, and I think you're a teacher. Balance? Is there any? How do you keep it in this summer? How do you keep balance in general? Well, life really is a balancing act, and I think especially if you're trying to achieve excellence really in any area, it's going to take some work and it's going to take some sacrifice. For me, I'm not willing to sacrifice family time. That's my first commitment. I'm also not willing to sacrifice my work as a professional, and that means that other things have to get cut out a little bit in order to fit in the training and racing. You know, as most of you know out there, it takes a lot of early morning runs and late nights, but if you're really committed to something and you're truly passionate about something, that kind of stuff really isn't that hard. And when it is tough in the training, that's when you're really getting in some good mental training that'll help you out later on in the race. You know, our life is a little bit chaotic. I have to give a lot of thanks to my mom and my mother-in-law for taking the kids at a variety of times, and also just to my family for supporting me. You know, the Leadman Series this summer, we kind of made it a multi-part family vacation to Leadville. We have our little old trailer that we pull behind the truck. We take it up there and we camp out, and you know, with 2 kids under 2.5. Every night before the race or after the race or whatever wasn't a great night of sleep, but that's part of the deal, and it worked out okay. One other piece about the balance is really just using the limited time that you have available for training, really using that efficiently. You know, I'm not this Ironman triathlete who has time to go out and train 25 or 30 hours a week. Typically, my training is somewhere between 8 and 15 hours a week. That's with the running and the biking. And that means I'm really not running that much. I typically I look through my training log, and I ran typically 40 to 50 miles a week, kind of throughout the winter and spring and summer to prepare for Leadman. And it's not that high mileage, so really the focus has to be on quality. Everything I do is in the hills. It's all between 7,500 and 10,000 feet. And really quite a bit above that, and just all up and downhill. I have a lot of weeks where I log 20,000 or 30,000 vertical feet of climbing, and so in a fairly short amount of time, you can really squeeze in some good quality. In addition to doing focused interval sessions in specific heart rate zones, I think that kind of stuff really pays off in squeezing in quality into your limited training time. So that's definitely been big for me this summer. Question number 3. I first heard of you this past spring when you set the Zion Traverse FK2. It's been since reset by Mike Foote and Justin Yates. Was that your first ultra distance run? Did you start ultra running recently so you could be ready for Leadman, or did it come about before Leadman was on your mind? I haven't done that much ultra running, but it's always been part of my plan. It was kind of just sort of a question of when I would get to it. Timing kind of worked out right, that at the end of college and right after college, I had some opportunities for good adventure racing sponsorship and racing around the world and doing some neat things in that area. And that was kind of my focus really for about 10 years. And just recently, kind of with little kids coming, I've been able to, simplify a little bit, if you will, to doing a bit more of the local stuff, kind of a bit more of a specified focus on running and endurance mountain biking. And so, really for me, Leadville was kind of a homecoming. My dad did the race for the first time in 1988 when I was 5 years old. And I think I've been planning on doing it ever since then. So I was glad to finally knock it out this time. I've done a couple other ultras. I've done a couple of international events. In the adventure races, of course, we've had a lot of trekking sections of ultra distance and kind of ultra time. But I really haven't done too many, within the last year I did that, the North Face Ultra in San Francisco, and then that Zion FKT attempt in the spring, and then Leadville this summer. So I'm looking forward to more. I'm glad that I can say that just a few days after Leadville. So I'm definitely psyched to get in the game here. Question number 4. So you ran 2015 at the Leadville 100 this past weekend, your first 100-miler. People would long for that result in any of their hundreds, I'm sure you realize. You're actually quite new to ultra running, but I know you've done lots of expedition length adventure racing. Is your endurance past your biggest asset for last weekend's success? Well, when I think about assets kind of leading to a time that I was happy with, like you said, 2015 for my first 100, I think there's a few of them. Definitely the endurance or ultra endurance experience played a huge role. I've finished 10 expedition length adventure races, dozens of other adventure race stage races, a lot of 100-mile mountain bike races and 24-hour mountain bike races, 24-hour adventure races. So I definitely was experienced racing in those conditions in that time. That said, as you guys know, running 100 miles is different than biking 100 miles or biking for 24 hours or adventure racing for 24 hours. So in some ways, I definitely was untested, and that did lead me to run what I think of as a fairly conservative race and really just focusing on taking care of myself. Some of the other assets I had out there, like I said, I think a specified training program where I got in a lot of quality and a lot of vertical and some good altitude. was helpful. I think I had a great nutrition and equipment setup out there. I was using Vitargo S2 as my primary energy source. It's a carbohydrate powder. Really happy with the Hoka shoes. I think that those things really have kind of revolutionized the sport of ultra running. The Ultimate Direction stuff is great. Really happy with the pack out there. And then also, I've really gotten into compression stuff. I feel like a big runner geek, but I really like the CWX compression shorts and sleeves and socks. And I think those things were helpful to me as well. One final piece, as you look at the sort of the transition with ultra running, I think in ultra running in the past, it was simply if you could just keep running, you would often win the races. The sport has transitioned so that speed has become a very significant component. And I remember when Matt Carpenter set the record at Leadville, his amazing record that still stands. I remember that summer he said that within the same summer that he did Leadville, he also wanted to be able to break 25 minutes for a 5-mile run. And that kind of stuck with me. I didn't do any time 5-mile runs or races or anything, but just that leg speed component I think was very significant, and that's something that was a component of the training plan all summer. So I think having a bit of that high-end speed and just the overall strength was another asset that I had out there. Question number 5. You just set a new Leadman course record. Which of your performances were your strongest and which were your weakest? That is, for the dudes who are racing your times in the future, where are they going to find a slack or some tight times? You know, I think probably my key to Leadman this summer in both training and racing was consistency. You know, really never getting too far in a hole within a race or outside the races, so that the training could be maintained. As far as the individual races, I was really happy with the marathon performance. I did 3:38. I finished second overall. I would have liked to have won the race, but I was glad to kind of start off the series with a bit of a buffer over the competition. Both of my bike times were decent. I've done faster previously in the 50 bike and in the 100 bike, so there's probably a little bit of room there. You know, the 10K is kind of a wash. My strategy for the 10K really was just to jog it. I figured I could have gone 10 minutes faster in the 10K, but potentially been a few hours slower in the 100 due to hammered legs. So I really just cruised it. But I think really what it comes down to is the 100-mile run. And honestly, I think my record can be broken. You know, I know next year that Tim Wagner, who previously had the record, I think he might be thinking about it. My good buddy Dave Mackey may give it a shot. You know, if Dave gets out there, watch out, because he's a great biker, and we all know what he can do running. So really, I think the place to gain time will be in the run. You know, I think in the... Question number 6. So, what was most painful in my first 100-miler? Really, the greatest physical discomfort out there was chafing in a variety of areas throughout the race. I was really glad to have Sports Slick with me during the event, and still had, like I said, a challenging experience with regards to that, which wasn't surprising. That happens in these races. As far as advice to 100-miler newbies, you know, really two things. On the physical side, I'd probably tell people what Dave Mackey told me the night before the race. He said, Trav, if you think you're going out too hard, then you probably are. And I think that was good advice. I took it hard, and I went out pretty easy. And then mentally, I really tell them, just go for it. You know, I think a lot of people approach 100-milers or long races thinking, oh, I need to do so many 51sts, or I need to do this, or I need to do that, or, you know, I want to do a 100-miler 4 years from now, or whatever. I'd say just do it. You know, if you believe that you can run 100 miles, then you can. That's the key. The key to it is committing to it and simply going out there and doing it. So my advice is just do it. If you think that a coach can help you, connect with the coach and do that, or just learn about it through the community and through other people. Get out there, crew for people, pace people. But really, just do it. The only thing that will hold you back from finishing a 100-mile run is if you doubt yourself, and if you believe in yourself and you go out and do it, you absolutely will. Question number 7, future aspirations, what's next as soon as the swelling in your legs from running 100 miles goes down? Well, that's a good question. The next race that I do have scheduled is called the Epic Mountain Challenge. It's a running and mountain biking multi-sport race in Pagosa Springs in October. So I've got that approximately 6 weeks after Leadville. I'm hoping that I will have some good strength left over. Then I'll definitely need to do some polishing for speed and VO2 max, and hopefully I'll be recovered. As far as after that goes, I don't have a set plan. I'm sure I'll be doing something. I always seem to have an idea kind of in the fall about what I want to do the next summer, and oftentimes that changes. But we'll see. I like doing these ultras. I'd like to do more. Races like Hard Rock and UTMB are definitely enticing to me. I like uphill running too. I'd really like to potentially go to Europe and do some of the vertical K events there, and some of the other races there. I've done a lot of racing in Europe for adventure racing and mountain biking, and it'd be great to do some more of the ultra runs and mountain running races back over there. I really like the FKT running as well, and giving a crack at another one of those I think would be a good time too. So we'll just have to see. Yeah, I'd like to wrap up with a couple of final thoughts on applications from adventure racing to ultra running. First one in gear is stuff like this. This is the light system I used. It's called iUp, iUp-lights.com. This is a biking headlamp company out of Australia, and the lights are initially made for mountain biking. You put one on your helmet and one on the handlebars, but you can see they're really small and light, and most of all, super bright. So I like to wear them for running as well. You just take one of them instead of two as you would for biking, and it's plenty. But I tell you what, it absolutely pays off. You can really see the technical trail, and also when you're out there running with everyone else, your light is brighter than everyone else's, so that means that you get to see while everyone else sees the shadows instead. So anyway, again, that's iUp Lights, A-Y-U-P. Very happy with them. And kind of final point, application from adventure racing to ultra running. It's really one just kind of about perspective and mindset. One thing that makes people successful in adventure races is that they expect that sometime in the race something's going to fall apart. You're going to get lost. Your crew's not going to show up. You're going to get hurt. You're going to get sick. Something is not going to go as planned, and I think that's a pretty healthy mindset to bring into an ultra run. It really just the idea that you plan very well, you plan in a detail-oriented way, but when things do fall apart or don't go according to plan, you don't worry about it, and you just keep hammering and you just go, and that really makes all the difference. I think sometimes if people are coming from maybe a road running background or a road triathlon background, or somewhere where you really are able to control everything, in a shorter kind of race, if you try to do that in an ultra run and try to control everything, it can really backfire on you because you can't control everything, and some things aren't going to go according to plan, and you need to be ready for that. So that's the main thing I think that adventure racers or people who have experience doing longer stuff can pull in is, like I said, you plan well and you get ready for the event, but once you get there, you know that things may not go according to plan, and you can't let that affect you. You can't let it mess you up. You just got to keep on hammering.